So you're now officially being recorded, as I am. So it's real media. Media is real, right? You know? Second battery. Okay, sorry about that. I mean, obviously, let me introduce myself. I'm Gareth, Gareth Bentley. I'm a mad media person and have been for many years. PhD, master's degree, media. My speciality is news and journalism. I have had the pleasure and the good fortune to be working with Debbie for many years. She's really, she could be teaching this, but she prefers the English, but she could be doing this very well. Now, one of the things that I just want to make clear from the beginning, I recognise that some of you are rather young, not all of you, and that I am also aware that your language skills, it's a second language, right, or a third language, you're not fluent. So I'm going to try to speak very, very slowly. I'm going to try to keep difficult concepts simple, which is not easy, but I will try. I do believe the wonderful thing about media is that it's a universal language, or it's certainly become so. It's become a visual language, a visual medium, and therefore we can circumvent, we can solve the problem of English language to a certain extent by talking about images or just looking at images. But obviously talking is involved. So this, I'm speaking too much, introducing myself too much. We need to get straight into documentary. Obviously, just very, very briefly, you will know that you get 2 lectures a week. The second lecture this week is going to be on broadcast media. So that includes in theory radio and television, but I'm going to be focusing on British television. That's going to be on Wednesday. Then we come to advertising and news in next week. In one, is that the right order? I can't remember, but I'll check, don't worry. Yeah. Week 3, Hollywood and new media. Okay. So, and the idea is that you have a lecture. I'm going to be making a visual and sound recording of every single lecture, which in theory, fingers crossed, you will all have access to if you want to. One of the wonderful things about this course, the reason I start with documentary is that you are going to make documentaries with a little camera just like mine over there. Yeah? You're going to take the camera into the street, you're going to have fun, you're going to see what it's like to make a film. Yeah? So it's a good idea to start with documentary. Does anybody know what documentary is? I don't know. No idea? Well, what's a document? A document is a piece of writing, a record. It could also be a visual record. A document is a fact. A document is something that is recorded that is true. So the genre of documentary it has been with us ever since the advent of cinema, and it has progressed and has branched out into television. So it's a particular kind of TV program as well as a particular kind of film that tries to document reality. Oh my God. We're not going to do a philosophy course, but what the hell is reality, yeah? So you might want to consider, for example, there are very different kinds of documentary filmmaking, and I'm going to show you some examples today, in which you point the camera at a scene, and whatever is filmed is the reality, is the documentary. On the other hand, there's a much more constructive, maybe political style of documentary, which is that you have in your head what political idea or thing or issue you want to capture, and sometimes you put yourself into the documentary, which you may well do in your little films that you're going to make over the next 2 weeks. So you've got two very different ideas. There's one, you've done it, fly in the suit. Well, there's another one, there's a fly on the wall, yeah?
Yeah, we discussed as well. Yeah.
Okay, so fly on the wall, you know, means what? You discussed it, you know it? Tell me. What is it? No, I'm joking. I'm putting you on the spot. Fly on the wall is, you imagine there's a fly up there, yeah? And it has amazing vision, but the fact is it's so small, it's a camera that can record without us knowing, yeah? So how do you capture real life? Well, you capture it by filming people or a scene or something without the people knowing that they're being filmed. Because we are humans, we're living in the age of selfies and fake news and God knows what else. As soon as there's a camera, our behaviour changes. Yeah? So if you are a journalist and you are filming in a foreign country, that's my speciality, journalists, foreign correspondence, it's more than possible when you take the camera into the street, say in Cairo, in Egypt, because that's what we're going to look at in a moment. As soon as people see the camera, they're going to come up to the camera, they're going to say things, they're going to think that they're going to have their voice, their political voice broadcast all over the world. Is that reality? Or is it, look at the handout, look at point 3, propaganda, political, or what we could also call political subjectivity. Yeah? I want to give you probably the toughest word. I apologise now. I won't give you any more philosophical words, but we can't talk about documentary without talking about objectivity. Yeah? Assuming you don't know, objectivity is a scientific concept, yes, of universal truth. In media terms, in journalistic terms, in documentary terms, as I said already, it's a style of recording reality that is regarded as 100% true, universal. And another word that we associate with objectivity is transparency. If you imagine that a window on the world is an expression that we associate with transparency, yeah? Journalism, when we talk about it next week, news, is certainly BBC journalism, but not only BBC journalism, is founded on the assumption that the best way to report news is objectively, and it means with no politics. Okay? So again, you've got this debate, you've got this tension between political documentary and objective documentary. Yeah? And people disagree very strongly about what that is. In actual fact, if you want my opinion, I think objectivity is a cultural and scientific concept associated with Western culture in particular that comes out of science that does not translate into human terms, yeah? Because we're all different. Even within our own cultures, we all have our own subjectivity, yeah? A lot of people try to contrast objectivity with subjectivity. Subjectivity is political bias, yeah? But think about it, is it honest to think that we can all be objective and we can all put aside, ignore, not include our own cultural assumptions? You're here now, you're like foreign correspondents in a foreign country now. Some of you won't been in this culture before, it'll be very strange. The way you see this culture, yeah, is different from the way this culture looks at itself. So what you see, what you're thinking and feeling now, might actually be more objective than people who are here. Because you are from the outside, so to speak. The outside, whatever that is. So this is one of the very interesting elements. As I say, we'll come back to objective news and objectivity next week. It's time to show you a clip. So if you look at point 2 on the outline, it says history. Now you all know what history is, don't you? History? What is it?
The record of things that happened before, long before.
Very good indeed. How do we learn about history?
By reading books or records that people of former days written.
Very interesting. So you think history is words? Pictures or words? Because it's since the invention of the camera, photographic camera, the invention of video, television, cinema, we've got a different way of recording history, yeah? Which is changing everything in our culture. And of course I'm saying our culture, but maybe it's Western culture, I don't know, you can come back to me on that. But I think we have to remember that media has sprung out of, grown up in, Western culture, primarily, and then it's spread. Okay? So, yeah, so if you think about documentaries, the documentary that I'm about to show you is called The Square, and it was filmed in 2011 by some local Egyptian activists. Do you know what an activist is? Activist? No. An activist is somebody who tries to change politics. They are politically active. Some of you will know from the news, will remember that 6 years ago there was a revolution in Cairo in Egypt. Yeah? And what was interesting about this revolution in so-called in Cairo in Egypt is that there were lots of cameras involved and social media and new media. And some people even go so far as to say that social media helped the revolution. And before 2011, the president of Egypt was called Hosni Mubarak, very authoritarian leader. Basically, the younger people were fed up. They went into the streets, they were active, they filmed, they campaigned, they protested. And temporarily, unfortunately, it's gone back now to an authoritarian regime, they introduced some notion of democracy. But it was democracy filmed that everybody could share around the world. So if you watched it on TV, you could see live pictures from Tahrir Square in Cairo in Egypt. So this is the era that we're in. Politics is live, history is live. So journalists who go to big events that are happening in the world, they're filming history as it happens. Yeah? History starts with real people before it gets fixed into some political narrative that we all agree what that is. So let me show you a clip. A slight warning, this is, there is 1 or 2 scenes, if I remember rightly, that of some injuries, quite bad injuries to one of the activists. So, but just so that you know in advance, but it's not very long, so you shouldn't be too scary. There is sound. Thanks. The lights went out.
والعيال الصغيرة تمشي في الشارع ايه دول يا عم خلع على ده بيقولوا مين بقى؟ العم صاحب الكهرباء اللي جاي يفصل الكهرباء ويشغل هو المفروض العاصمة خليني احكي لك القصه ابتدت ازاي. مصر كانت عايشه في الاتنين.
It's not like BBC News, is it? But it is the same issue. History.
انا عايش من شغلانه لشغلانه. وانا عندي 8 سنين وانا بشتغل في الشارع. كنت في 5 ابتدائي عشان اجيب مصاريف المدرسه. كنت ببيع ليمون في الشارع. مفيش مستقبل. مفيش ملامح لأي حاجة إنك تقدر تعيش كبني آدم في البلد. كان مأيدنا نظام حاكم ديكتاتور ظالم. مبارك هو رأس النظام اللي عايشنا أكتر من 30 سنة تحت قانون الطوارئ. أنا عشت 24 سنة من عمري في ظلم مبارك. الشرطة طول عمرهم على الشعب. ممكن يسحلوا ويعذبوا ويكهربوا وينفخوا، ولا حد يقدر يتكلم في السياسة. السياسة كانت للحزب الوطني بس.
عايزين ننزل من 25 لو لسه عندنا صيانة ولسه عايزين نعيش كإنسان كبني آدمين.
So it's got very strong politics, yeah? Political subjectivity. Democracy is good, our leader is bad, he's a dictator, we want to change him. And we're going to use the media to help us, because we're going to broadcast the message to the rest of the world using new media, YouTube, as well as old media. There's the process, right? Okay, so should we have the lights back on again? All right, sorry.
That's all right.
And now we're going to turn to the third section of the lecture, which is called propaganda. This is a new section. Is that all right?
Let's see. Let's get the lights back on again.
There we are. And then there was lights. So we've talked about objectivity. We've talked a little bit about truth. We've talked about propaganda. And what did I say was the difference between objective truth and propaganda? What's the difference? Propaganda is a political truth. Have you heard of fake news? Okay. Fake news, it has arrived as a direct result of the mixture of propaganda and advertising. Yeah? If you make news commercial, yeah, i.e. profit making, you are more concerned with making money than you are reporting truth. So propaganda can become is a political subjective way of telling the news or making a documentary, but also just as powerful, if arguably not more powerful, is a commercial. We could even say commercial propaganda, yeah? Because most media companies today are commercial and they depend on advertising, okay? And advertising is at the heart of capitalism. So there's a clash between the values of making money, capitalism, and truth-making, truth-telling. Now, most of you, I think you're all from China and Japan, yeah? Now, one very, probably, if not, arguably the most important issue in the world today climate change. People talking about it in your country? Yeah, where in the media? News media? Well, let me talk about the media that I know, right? In this country, Western British media, very little discussion of climate change. Yeah? So the next clip that I'm going to show you is It's a film that's actually literally out at the moment. You can go and see it if you want. It's called An Inconvenient Truth. Very famous American politician who nearly became president of America, Al Gore. A few years ago, he made a film called a documentary called An Inconvenient Truth. This one is the second film. It's a sequel, and it's called Talking Truth. I think it's called Talking Truth. Sorry, Truth to Power. Yeah, Truth to Power. So this is a documentary clip that I'm about to show you, 2.5 minutes or so, which is designed to raise political awareness about the problems and the dangers of climate change that most politicians and most commercial media companies are ignoring. And we can talk about the reasons why they're ignoring it, but this is a form, this is not necessarily objective, or you might argue that it is, but just look at the style of this documentary and how it's trying to get your attention using emotion. I haven't mentioned emotion. Emotion is key. A lot of people are talking about emotion at the moment and the role of emotion. So using emotion to get you to think about the powerful arguments against climate change. So take a look at this. It's going to be on YouTube. You can watch it again in your own time. These clips that I'm showing you, we'll be able to revisit tomorrow in the tutorial class, the seminar. So anything that you want to see again and discuss, we can revisit tomorrow, don't worry. It's very important to watch things more than once. And obviously, my understanding of documentaries is quite subjective. It's politically. I'm teaching you what I think is important, but that doesn't mean that it's all true. You might want to argue with me about that, you know. I think it's an inconvenient sequel. Take a look at this.
It's supposed to be 70 degrees today. It's freezing here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you do have to watch a bit of Trump. If you like Trump, you're sad.
It's supposed to be 70 degrees today. It's freezing here. Speaking of global
Can you
warming,
hear?
we need some global warming. It's freezing.
The most criticized scene in the movie An Inconvenient Truth was showing that the combination of sea level rise and storm surge
Can't really make
flooded
that
the 9/11 memorial site, and people said, "What a terrible exaggeration."
Hurricane Stanley slammed into New York City last night, flooding the World Trade Center site.
Storms get stronger and more destructive. Watch the water splash off the city. This is global warming.
I feel so scared. Sorry.
Despair can be paralyzing, but this to me is the most exciting new development. We're seeing a tremendous amount of positive change. The basis is there, but it's still not enough.
It's crunch time at the climate change conference in Paris.
Still some really tough negotiations going on.
What would it take to shift to renewables?
I'm talking about breaking the impasse. Virtually every nation in the entire world agreed to get to zero greenhouse emissions. It is unprecedented.
It's time to put America first.
All right.
That includes a promise to cancel billions in climate change spending. Our plan will end the EPA.
The next generation would be justified in looking back at us and asking, what were you thinking? Couldn't you hear what the scientists were saying? Couldn't you hear?
You're the next generation. This is aimed at you.
This movement is in the tradition of every great movement that has advanced humankind.
Make your voice heard. Activism.
We don't want to
Yeah?
discuss
Do
it.
something. Don't accept.
It is right to save humanity. It is wrong to pollute this earth. It is right to give hope to the future generations. Don't let anybody tell you that we're going to get on rocket ships and live on Mars. This is our home.
Okay. Donald Trump featured in that, and some of you will know, some of you won't, that he is somebody who denies that climate change is real, and he denies that climate change is real for one very simple reason: money. Yeah. And so that's one of the main reasons why you'll never get all these facts about how the climate is changing in 2017, how it's been changing and accelerating and becoming unpredictable for the last 3 or 4 years, particularly in the last 3 or 4 years. You won't get that in the commercial media. Yeah? This is a political documentary. Obviously, he's an important man. He can raise money. He has the cash to make an independent documentary, but this is not mainstream. Okay? This is political. So we have to really think about what is it that the news is doing. I don't want to talk too much about news. I'm talking about documentary, but later next week. Why is news not telling us this reality? Why? You know? It's very emotional, isn't it? It's a bit like it grabs you, it scares you. You see people crying. You see horrific pictures of extreme weather. You know, it's designed to hit you, yeah, to shock you. Shock is a media technique, yeah. But this is real, you know, and we can discuss how real it is, whether it's objective or not. You know, we can discuss that in the tutorial in the seminar. So let's now turn to the next section in the lecture, on the lecture outline.
It's supposed to be 70 degrees today and freak.
Go away. Hate it. Don't you? Anyway, so the next section is cinema, verite, and realism. Okay? Anybody speak French? Shh. No? Yes? Okay. What does vérité mean? Vérité is the French word for truth. Truth. In the 1950s and 60s, just going to check that we're still recording, and if I need to change my battery. Yeah, we're good. In the 50s and 60s, there was a very significant shift, change, switch in camera technology. Yeah, moving pictures, not still pictures, to basically what we call video or camcorders, or these things that we've got in the room today. And what was absolutely really important and great and interesting that really transformed documentary filmmaking was that because before cameras were huge, heavy, stuck in rooms, in studios. Now you could take a camera into the street and film what's happening with your hand. Yeah? So cinema verite, one of the characteristics of cinema verite is handheld camera. Yeah? A bit like our bodies when we're moving around. It gives us the sense of reality. Yeah? So you have a whole new genre, subgenre of documentary starting in the West, in France particularly, but also Britain, and actually in America, of documenting real, ordinary, everyday people's lives, not just made in a studio. Yeah? And in a way, this has to be the best way to record reality, because reality happens outside, yeah? Maybe up until that point, all kinds of documentaries were a bit artificial, they were a bit contrived, but nevertheless, I mean, there were, I should mention this, I'm rushing a bit because I want to try and put a lot into this, but there were some film documentaries before the invention of video cameras. In actual fact, the founder of The person who invented the genre of documentary is a Scottish guy called John Grierson in 1926. And he did take cameras outside, and he did film working class ordinary people, but it was much more difficult, obviously, with huge cameras. Yeah? But Grierson, John Grierson, is the so-called father of documentary. He was Scottish, he was a bit religious, but what drove his idea about documentary and documenting ordinary people, working class people's lives, was that he hated Hollywood. And he could see that Hollywood was commercial propaganda that was glamorizing and fooling people and tricking people and seducing people. He didn't like it. Yeah? So he thought it's about time that we start making a different kind of film that's about reality. So John Grierson, and that was way back in 1926. But let's go back to the 60s and the 50s and the 60s, because the clip that I'm about to show you is an example of observational filmmaking. Now what's interesting about this, and that the guy that we're going to, the amazing British filmmaker whose work we're going to look at, and also we'll come back to him on Wednesday, because in the context of broadcast media, we'll be using his ideas as well. This guy called Ken Loach. Ken Loach became very famous during the 50s and 60s for making documentaries about ordinary people. Some of them were like plays, but he mixed, what was interesting is that he mixed drama and documentary. So he kind of, in order to show the truth, he manipulated it a bit, so he would use actors that weren't famous, yeah? And he wouldn't necessarily, what Ken Loach does with his actors in his documentaries, well, drama documentaries, he doesn't give them lines to learn, like Hollywood actors, yeah? He puts them in scenes where they have to be like a character, and then they have to feel what it's like, and then he films it. So it's less artificial. He's trying to capture a kind of reality that is different from fly on the wall, transparent documentary. It's actually trying to document, it's using actors, but they're everyday people, they're not famous people. And you'll see when I show you the example. So Ken Loach makes films, but he also makes drama documentaries, and the reason that we're talking about him in the context of documentaries is that he uses documentary techniques, handheld cameras, and so on and so forth. And the clip that I'm about to show you, he talks about how the camera itself is like a person. Yeah? So when he makes a scene, the camera is a particular person. It's a political subjectivity. Ken Loach is very, very, I'm trying to think of the best word. He's a socialist, okay? So he's very concerned with helping poor working class people and campaigning. He's like an activist. And people that don't like Ken Loach say that he's actually manipulating truth, that he's making fiction. See, what's really clever about Ken Loach, and you will make up your own minds about this, is that he is using fiction, but it looks real. And for him, that's the point. That's the only way you can get at reality. You have to, because media is fiction, to try to show reality. But better than me, let's hear what he has to say about his own work. So just give me a second to set this up.
found a way that was articulate and a good and simple way to work. Basically, dealing with people who haven't acted before, how do you remove the camera crew from the experience?
Our own style of observational filmmaking came through conversation with Chris. We both saw the Czech films. The camera has its own sense of being a person observing. You become a person there. It seemed to bring out the humanity of the people in front of the camera.
What I found amazing was that he trusted me so much. Ken would explain a scene to me in very brief terms, so that when we came to do the actual speech that Billy does in front of the class, I'd only be given less than 24 hours to actually learn that scene. But I think Ken wanted that rough quality.
Then when it got to know me, I put it on my glove, and after a while, I put it 2 inches away from its claws. And like that.
I didn't want him to learn it too word for word, because the point of the scene is not to tell the audience how to train a kestrel. The point of the scene is for a boy who can never string two words together to become articulate.
When I got it about 70 yards from her in midfield field, I called her. Kiss, kiss, come on, kiss, come on then. No, it happened. So I thought, well, I better walk back and pick her up. So while I'm walking back, I saw her flying. She came like a bomb. About a yard off to her, like lightning, it's still, and you couldn't tell wings. I want to stand front wings and straight onto the glove, wham! And she'll grab me from the heat. Anyway, I'm pleased with me saying, I didn't know what to do. So I thought, well,
With Ken as a director, there is another side to his loving relationship with the actors, his capacity to allow. And that other side is his ruthlessness.
The children being beaten in Kes, the fact that he would allow those kids to be beaten is horrific. I couldn't do that. No, he had a point to make, that the headmaster had only one response to this situation, and that was the response of that time in our history: beat the kids.
Same old faces. Same old faces.
We were told we weren't going to get hit, so we held out our hands, thinking that this is when Ken Loach was going to say cut. But he didn't.
Ah! A regular little cigarette factory, aren't you? Pull out your way!
You'll be pleased to know this is not an educational technique that we use in F-Sounds. But what's really striking about this film, it's a film but it's also a drama documentary, is that, as I said, they're not famous actors and they didn't know that he was actually really going to hurt them. So he captures the real reaction, the shock, the pain. Yeah? So it's a technique. Yeah? It's an emotional technique. Now we're rapidly running out of time, so I'm just going to end with a slightly crazy new clip. It's something that I've been fascinated with for the last few weeks and I want to share with you. On the outline, you'll notice that the last point is emotion and identification. With your permission, I'd like to discuss that in the tutorial tomorrow. Yeah? But I want to share with you another form of documentary that's actually really important. And this is wildlife documentary. And it's not turkeys, Debbie. It's a different kind of animal. You've all heard of octopuses, yes? Octopuses are increasingly being recognised as one of the most intelligent creatures that's different from human beings. And you know when you watch an animal wildlife documentary, yeah, it's very much that you're seeing the animals as objects. Yes, they're in the wild. We're in our living room, and it's beautiful. It's Africa, the plains of Africa, the jungle. It's a very visual. It's a visual feast. It's a spectacle, but it's us looking at animals. Well, the clip I'm about to show you is a documentary about octopuses, in which, now remember we've talked about observational techniques. Octopuses are observers. They don't make documentaries, but they watch humans and they learn, okay? So the reason I've chosen this clip, and you probably think I'm crazy, and I probably am, is that it's giving you a sense not as octopuses as objects. Here's the camera, I'm filming it, there's the octopus over there. It's what it feels, what it is like to be an octopus, how they see us, the other way around. Yeah? So let's just quickly take a look. Technical issue. See, often people just think about octopus as food in a fancy restaurant, don't they? Yeah. Once you watch this clip, you'll never be able to eat an octopus again.
Cousteau showed an octopus opening a sealed glass container to get to his food. In his case, the food was a lobster, whereas we use crabs. We wondered what would happen if we placed two octopuses face to face. One who knows how to open the container, and the other who doesn't.
Sorry, just want to say this. You know, we've talked about objectivity. This is a scientific experiment. Science and objectivity. It's how we arrive at truth. Yeah. So, but here you've got the scientific objective truth, but you've also got something different as well.
We wanted to know if one octopus could learn by observing the other. We created a box with 3 openings. The difference between the 3 openings is how they open. With the first opening, the cover simply lifts off. With the second opening, you have to twist open the cover. You have to twist it first and then pull it off. And the last cover also pulls off, but it doesn't come off completely. We place a crab in the box, and then we wait to see what happens.
In the lab, the tanks are divided into two by a glass wall. A box with a crab in it is placed in one, along with Candide, a male octopus that was caught that morning by a fisherman. Candide sees the crab, but doesn't react. This is exactly what the researchers expected. The experiment can proceed. In the other side of the tank, the same kind of box is given to an octopus that has spent a few days in the lab and has learned how to get into the multiple opening box. This octopus is called the teacher. It immediately starts to open the box to get at the prey.
Poor crab.
Candide watches the teacher. His curiosity is aroused.
So the other octopus is watching the other one.
And Candide is visibly excited,
almost like taking
evidently trying to understand what the other octopus is doing. Finally, the teacher opens the box and seizes the crab. But has Candide learned by observing the teacher? Will he prove the Capri theory right? It's a crucial moment for Graziano and David. They won't have to wait long. The glass panel between the two tanks is covered over, preventing the octopuses from seeing each other. Candide is left alone with the problem. Is he going to succeed? Without hesitating, Candide grapples with the box and manages to get it open in barely a few seconds. He's observed and he's understood. The experiment is repeated dozens of times, and the box is placed in different positions. The octopus always opens it on the same side using the same opening, showing that he didn't simply learn to imitate a movement, he really understood what had to be done. It seems that the octopus really is about to take a leap ahead in the evolutionary scheme. There may be no holding back its formidable intelligence. Is this the start of a Hollywood horror movie?
Okay, so just before we end, part of the point I'm making here is to do with subjectivity. You know, that is an example of an unusual kind of documentary. It's discovery, it's mainstream, it's commercial, that's actually giving you more of a sense of the difference between humans. Most documentaries are always humans looking at the world. Humans are the subject, the world is the object. Here, it's actually saying this octopus is looking at other octopuses, is looking at us, and it's thinking. And not only that, octopuses have just as good eyesight as us, yeah? But they don't use media, and they still remember. They remember, you know, they don't have words, you know? So it's a subjective intelligence that's completely alien to human beings. And we're only just starting to learn. It's not just octopuses, actually. It's plants, it's trees, it's animals, that they all have their own kinds of intelligence. It's objective documentaries, objective looking at things, scientific approaches that doesn't traditionally understand other intelligences. Objectivity is a particular kind of human Western cultural truth, but it's not by any means the only truth. Yeah? And that's why I wanted to end with that one. So we'll stop there. Thanks very much, and I'll see you tomorrow for the tutorial. Okay? Thanks. Do you know they have 9 brains and 3 hearts?
I have heard of that.